Hi, I'm Jenner, an expert in women's empowerment and well-being. I am passionate about sharing the untold stories of women around the world who honor their dreams more than the fears that might otherwise hold them back. This is the Wild Ones podcast, where you will learn to live a life of more love, more passion, more freedom, and more connection. This is more than just a podcast. It's a movement of those who are ready to dig deep, speak up, and transform their worlds. Now, let's go get wild. Hello, and welcome to the Wild Ones podcast. I am Jenner, your hostess, and I have created this space to inspire you to make your biggest impact. And before I introduce my guest today, I have a couple of things that I just wanted to talk about. First is this Mercury retrograde that we are in right now. Our last episode with Meredith of Earthling Astrology went into Mercury and how this is going to be a very impactful one. And I don't know about you all, but I am feeling it big time. It's intense. It's definitely Scorpio is all up in there and digging up all the stuff. And I would say it's I'm excited though. It's been really hard for me personally, but it's also been really transformational. And I know on the other end of it is going to be really amazing. And I just wanted to offer you I guess a piece of, know that you're not the only one going through this, right? There's others that are in this space as well right now. Take care of yourself right now. Honor your feelings and your emotions, and try to just be with them. Try to welcome them, whether it's sadness or depression or hurt or fear or anger or whatever you're feeling. Just really welcome them and honor them in whichever way they're coming in. And this is a really great time to get back to your practices that ground you. And if you don't have practices that ground you, to incorporate some into your life. So the ones that I've been doing over the past couple weeks are breath work and morning pages. They are both really amazing tools to, breath work is really great for kind of unearthing the trauma and the emotions from your body and releasing them through your breath. And it's a specific technique that I have learned. And it's, to me, just one of the most powerful ways to really honor the emotions that are coming up and to release buried wounds and traumas and hurts that are still controlling. Well, I don't know if controlling is the right word, but just still being present in your life. So I will put a link in the show notes to a breath work that I created. It's now on Insight Timer, which is a free app for meditation that's amazing. There's so many meditations on there, but I'll put a link for the breath work so you can get to that. And then morning pages, if you have not done that, it's basically a morning journaling practice and sort of a brain dump where you really are putting pen to paper and not picking it up until you finish 3 pages of notes, of journaling notes. And you can put anything there, anything that's coming up for you. I also love using it to ask questions to my higher self, to the universe, to God, however you want to word it. But it's a really great space to do that as well. So, why is anger coming up? Why is this an emotion I can't let go of? What do I need to learn from this emotion? And so I also have a freebie that I love to offer, and it's a morning pages journaling practice. And I think it's over a week. You will get journaling prompts. And so they're really great journaling prompts to help you connect more deeply with yourself and have a bigger understanding of your greater purpose and what's really, really going on right now. So I will also put a link to that in the show notes. I just wanted to offer a couple things for you right now as we continue moving through Mercury. And I believe Mercury, I don't know the exact date. I think it's the week of the 20th that it will be ending. It won't be in retrograde anymore. It'll be going direct. But we also have another week at the end, which is the shadow period of Mercury. So just know that, just honor that most likely through November we'll still be feeling it, and just to give yourself some grace. I wanted to also let you know about some events that I have coming up through the Wild Ones. One that I am leading in January is called Dream Bigger in 2020. And I know that when I have my own things happening in my life and my own things that are coming up, I know I'm not the only one, right? I know that there's other people that are feeling the same way. And what keeps coming up is, how can we make an impact on our world, right? So I am, midlife crisis, age 43 right now, going through hopefully the tail end of it. My mom passed away a year and a half ago, so I'm dealing with not only just the grief, but the loss of a deep connection with my mother. It's really a whole coming to a whole very transformative period for me. And there's a lot unearthing and there's a lot coming up. And what the biggest, I would say, overarching is, what do you really want to do with your life? Like, what is the impact that you want to make? So in this class, we are going to let go of 2019. We're going to all the things that happened, all the wonderful things that we get to take with us, and all the things that we want to leave behind. And then we are also going to be doing some subconscious work, some neuro-linguistic psychology or NLP, some practice that is really, really important to help energetically let go of the year and to let go of it in your body and subconsciously. And it's a really powerful practice that I'm excited to share with you all. And then, of course, we're going to dream bigger in 2020. Like, what do we really want to create? How do we want to make our impact? And I will also offer another NLP practice that'll help sink it in to our neurology in our body and our subconscious, so that it is not only something that we want consciously, but subconsciously it is available for us. So it's going to be an amazing class. It's going to be online. So sign up, get your tickets, and I hope to see you there. We also have some other amazing events coming up throughout the year. We've got tarot in February. And then some other people that I'm working with is Ayurveda and Feng Shui and Akashic Records. So definitely make sure you are on the Wild Ones email list. I will put a link in the show notes. Again, it's thewildonesonline.com. And then one more last thing. I am still enrolling for my 4-month intensive called Heart. It is a life-altering course for women to finally get the love that they crave. It really is a deep dive. It is a group coaching program for only 8 women. And I should say at this point on November 21st, I only have 4 spots left. So if you are interested in joining us, make sure you sign up or fill out the application, I should say. It's by application only. I want to make sure the women in this group are all very aligned. So you'll sign up for a no pressure breakthrough strategy session with me. We'll have a conversation, make sure we're all connected. We'll talk about all the details, and you can find out more and link in the show notes. So there you go. All right, that is all the announcements for today. And so let's move on to our guest. I am so excited to introduce you to Beatrice. She's an amazing, amazing woman. And let me just introduce her properly. Beatrice is a creative entrepreneur who values the human connection and builds strong relationships with our community. She's a writer, marketing and events professional, model, actress, and proud business owner of Mirror Inc. Productions, a full-service production firm specializing in event solutions, marketing, and logistics. Beatrice wears a multitude of hats and easily adapts to many diverse environments. With a dynamic personality, creative mind, and wide range of talents, Beatrice successfully brings brands to life. So Beatrice is a powerhouse, if you can't tell. And so today we get to dive deep into her life and how she got here and the failures and all of the things that it is to create a business. So Beatrice is a first generation Nigerian. She shares with us what it was like really being brought up with two different, very different cultures and what that was like for her. We talk about how she is breaking the mold as a Black woman founder, very powerful, beautiful Black woman founder, and really paving her own path. We also talk about why it's so important to cover your own genius before starting a business, to not follow the pack, to don't, try to shut out the noise around you and really connect with yourself to uncover what's really important for you and how you want to share that with the world. We talk about her biggest failures as a business owner and how she uses it as her strength. And then we also talk about what it's like to build a major brand. She's doing events all over the world, but she's also infusing it with her own values. So she is a powerhouse. I can't even describe how amazing she is. So I get to introduce you now to this episode with Beatrice. Enjoy. Thank you for coming on the show today, Beatrice. I'm so excited to have you here and to have this conversation with you. Yeah. You and I met, I think it's been a couple years now through the Unveiled Beauty platform. And you've been a part of that, working with Lisa Harris for a couple years. I mean, I think since the beginning, you've been an ambassador, and I did some speaking, and you were on the stage, I think you were on the stage too recently, right? Recently. I remember I watched your talk. It was so good. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get her on the podcast. So thank you. I'm so excited we get to talk today and just connect a little bit more.
Yes, definitely. I'm really excited. Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah, so I have been part of the platform since February of 2018. So I think it's almost 2 years now. Yeah. As a broadcaster and now a producer.
Yep. Yeah, and you just produced the last event, which is the biggest event they've had. So that's amazing. And for people that don't know Unveiled Beauty, I actually did a podcast with Lisa Harris. We've done 2 podcasts with her. So you can look back in the archives, and I'll put a link in the show notes too, so you can learn more about what she does and about this stage that she sets for women, and it's beautiful and amazing. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, so it's going to be bigger and better in 2020. So I'm really excited working with the platform, and Lisa's wonderful. So she's doing a really good thing in the community. Really excited. Breaking barriers.
Yeah, and we should say too is what makes her different is she's about empowering women, and what really makes her stage different is she doesn't necessarily have coaches and trained speakers on the stage, although she does, right? Like, so we've obviously been trained and we do speaking, but it was really more about sharing our story, like the stuff that we don't normally share, in our work, in our business. And I know for sure my story, I've never shared anywhere. And still mom is the word. It's only for those people that showed up. But it's really an opportunity to be able to share these pieces of yourself that we don't normally share like that. For me, it was just so powerful. And it didn't matter how many times I practiced or rehearsed. And once I got on the stage, I was in tears. Like it was, it's like takes me back to that moment and what it was like and going through it. So it broke something open in me, and it was beautiful, and I love it. And so I love her for creating this platform. It's so cool. How about you? How was the experience for you?
Well, I feel like it was a journey for me, especially when I took the stage in June. I didn't know what my story would be. And so there was just so many facets that I can talk about, and that is related to things that I am especially my book that I'm writing, a lot of my platforms that I'm doing right now, and my initiatives that are coming to life is a reflection of I, what my story was about. So it was beautiful because she helped me craft my story and just like take the nuggets and have talk about what really matters and put everything that didn't matter aside. So it's kind of fleshing everything out and making it more clear than what I can ever do by myself. And it was more transformative. I thought it's a healing process, and it's more of a realization of like just focusing on what the healing and what really matters. And it's exciting. The growth, I've grown through the years, but especially being around, being in this platform, I'm growing as well. So I love it. So I'm more involved than ever.
Yeah. And I could tell that from your story too. You've done tons of growth work. And as I looked through your website and your business and what you do, I can tell that you put it into your business as well.
Yep.
Which I'd love to talk to you more about is your events that you do called Mindless Behaviors. Can you tell everyone what they are?
So just a bit of overview. So, Mirror Inc. is the overview company. So we're a marketing company, and of course we do events, branding, and marketing. But Mindless Behaviors is a social initiative that we're doing. Since a lot of the work I've done is more in an experiential way, what we do is create immersive experience through events, through the branding, through the language, everything, and package it. But through the Mindless Behaviors events, it's called the Smoking and Mirrors event series. So basically, it's talking about it's sparking thought-provoking conversations that we never ever that we don't talk about, but they're little nuggets of behaviors that keeps us stuck, like constant like us constantly contradicting ourselves. Tongue twister on a regular basis is one, right? But so through these events, I create immersive, just experiences that people walk in, and then they can engage in the process of learning more about specific behavior that keep them stuck. So it's generally Pacific, and I do a lot of experiential activities through the whole event to get people to understand and tie everything together. So in 2018, I did 3 of them. This year, I decided to focus on my book that is coming out, which is next year. Just kind of directed my focus on doing that, but relaunch in the spring of next year, the whole Smoking Mirrors event series. So it's going to be really exciting. 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I just love the name, Mindless Behaviors, because we have so many, right?
We have a lot of behaviors.
Yeah.
3 years with the behaviors that we have. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's great. And so what are some of the topics that you've talked about before?
So so I talked about 3. The first one is contradictions, on how we contradict ourselves. And through leadership, there's contradictions, even through our social construct. What we say, what we do, and what we think are 3 different things. So basically, that's one topic that we talk about that is really important, that actually keeps us stuck and like infuse trauma on us on a regular basis. I did mask, on how we wear a mask and we don't show up as our authentic self, and pandemonium, and how we live in chaos on a regular basis that like keeps us mentally stuck. So those are the 3 I did so far. There's potential I might do them next year in a different way, just to introduce those concepts again, which are needed, but there is a whole lot more coming.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And what they all three of them sound like such amazing topics to be able to dig into people with. The contradictory, I think, is such a big one right now in our culture, and so much, right? We say one thing, or we want people to be a certain way, and then we end up doing that exact same thing ourselves.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because a lot of contradictions is a big thing, and we put that to practice, especially with our children, with the kids, and like with leadership, how they contradict, even within our friends, our business practices, how things are unethical, but we still get away with it, and people get away with it, and not have accountability for it. So it's really, it's almost like the cancer that is kind of like, it's there, but nobody has a cure for it, but a cure is awareness. So one of the things, it's challenging.
Well, what's something that you've seen unethical in business that you think people don't really acknowledge?
People always want to try new things, but never hone into the potential of what they really can do. So what I notice is if somebody is so prideful in business. So if you don't know a skill and you don't have the skill set, be honest about it and like be open with it. So there's a lot of people I know that take on projects that they really don't know. Like if you're not, so I don't know. I've just been noticing a lot that like there are people that are good at some things and people that are good at not a lot of not so good at other things. And what I just realized is that not too many people hone into their potential. So like kind of development is actually scarce. People being developed is very scarce. And people that are developed is able to expand their gamut within the field that they mastered.
Right.
For me, for so many years, I thought that like dabbling in a lot of things was the best way to go. Like you need to put your hand in different baskets. But then what I realized is that how about I hone into my talents right now, evolve that, and I won't know. More opportunities will grow from that. So going outward instead of like trying to like put different nuggets in different baskets, and you're just next thing you know you're like okay, which you're constantly putting yourself in complacency. So I just really realized that there's in business that's pretty a big thing, like hone into your potential.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's such a different culture right now in business. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I get bombarded with ads so much on Facebook about, do Facebook ads, or do you can market and sell your stuff, or become a coach. Like they're telling everyone to become a coach. And I'm just like, do this program and you can do this. And I feel like everyone's kind of dabbling in, like you said, all these different things and waiting for something to stick, instead of really honing in on that one thing that really calls them. There's a lot of like blingy stuff that is in our face all the time. They're like, look, you can make money this way and this way and that, right? And we're all like, grabbing for it.
And it takes a different type of personality to do different things. Not everybody's going to be a business owner. Not everybody is going to be a planner. Not everybody's going to be a strategist.
Yeah,
it's just they're different roles and they're different personalities. And I wish, hopefully, in the future we go into that. We move into that mindset of honing in what the skills that we have within, and allowing that to thrive in a way that is fruitful. So it's very challenging to navigate these personalities. Not everybody could be a coach. Not everybody could be a teacher. Not everybody could be like a mathematician or a doctor. It's just specialties that, it's a lot.
Yeah, I know. I love that you bring that up though. I think it's an important topic to talk about for sure. And I like your take on it where, it's really more about just honing in on what works for you, right? Like where are your strengths? Where are your gifts? Instead of, looking at all the blingy stuff, like bringing it back inward and kind of uncovering what's really real for you and how you can really support in a way that you want to
Yeah.
in the world. Yeah, very cool. So I want to know more about just kind of, I always think it's really interesting to meet women entrepreneurs and how you got your start. And, it's not an easy road, like you said. It's not like it's more for the person that can take it and is really resilient. So I'm curious how you got your start or why you wanted to start a business and just kind of the inspiration.
Well, I started at 18, so like almost 20 years ago. Almost gave away my age, right? So, so I grew up, the field that I came out of is experiential marketing. So it's more of a marketing, face-to-face, building simulations and engagements, and in the fact of bringing the brand to market to life, and like putting those products in consumer hands through events, through conferences, whatever that the consumers can get something tangible out of it. So I grew up just basically doing that for a while. And then I started to I love this industry. So I started to grow into it, and I started to get into management, get into public relations, and into some of the agency work, went on tour, done a lot of tours, promoted for multiple brands through the country, and even internationally. One of the reasons why I start my business is because I noticed that there are opportunities, but they're not opportunities. And I feel like not only being a woman, but being a woman of color, made it a little more of a challenge in the industry that is not really, it's invisible. It's very invisible in a sense that a lot of people don't know. You might say, hey, this opportunity is there, but it's not, it's more of my colleagues would have gotten it before I would. So I just started to know that, and I was just like, well, let me create my own opportunities for myself. And I developed a lot of skills through the years as I was working in the field of marketing and promotions and PR, all of that field. So, and I got a PR degree, so I do PR work as well. So I'm a jack of all trades, but it has to be as a woman entrepreneur. I can't say the road is easy. Being a woman is one thing, but being a woman of color, there's a lot of stereotypes. There's a lot of challenges that, not challenges, but things that just makes me work and become a lot more sharper. That is a lot more. It was challenging, but I managed to understand my place and be able to build the life that I want.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had mentioned before the call that you're first generation here. Your parents are from Nigeria, but you were born here in the States. And so I'm curious what that upbringing was like and how that even informed your personality, who you are now, like this entrepreneurial spirit. Like, were your parents entrepreneurs or?
So my dad was an entrepreneur, my mom was a nurse. So being a first generation, there's a lot of traditional cultural rules, and there's a lot of American rules that has constantly clashed on a regular basis. And so I felt like I got the best of both worlds, the very strict and disciplinary, and then you have the whole social American culture. There are two totally different worlds. And I know growing up, I found it challenging walking in both worlds. And I did say it in my speech on our Unveiled Beauty platform, but there's just a lot of emotional baggage and a lot of disparities that things that we had to face being first generation and having parents that are African parents and like just trying to walk both worlds. So we want to be cool at the same time, be culture. So
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a pull in each direction. Like you want to like fit into the community, right? And you don't want to like look different, but at the same time you are, and that's amazing, right? You have this beautiful culture of your own that you also want to integrate and to share. So I can imagine that'd be a really hard pull. Did you have like cousins and other family that was already here too, or did your parents just come on their own?
they came. I had cousins and other family. So I'm the oldest of four. So I'm the eldest. So like I had to set the example.
Yeah.
What I feel like with my upbringing, it just gave me a deeper understanding of human beings
Mm.
and how we engage, how we interact, the barriers, the emotional barriers, the physical barriers, the systematic barriers. I got to see it in multiple ways, and it kind of not only molded me, but it actually allowed me to grow into
Yeah.
getting people a lot better, especially me growing in the marketing field and now evolving even more beyond. So it's I was it was an honor to have such a background like that, such
Yeah.
diversity, and
Mhm.
I can like now put them all to use.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So I'm curious what I'd love to know about like your biggest failure as an entrepreneur and how you overcame it.
Oh my God.
It's a hard one, right? But which one? Which one should I
I know
choose?
which one. Where should I start? I felt like I failed almost every, but I know I haven't. It's just learning stepping stones. But I can say that I don't know. As an entrepreneur, um, I almost closed my doors because almost like right in the beginning, in the first 2, 3 years that I started giving services out for free, and it was taking up a lot of my time. And then it just got to the point that the one person didn't pay me and stiffed me for thousands of dollars, and I was just,
Oh,
I am done. And like
yeah.
I was struggling with the fact that I didn't want to let the business go. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I need to go back to this. I need to go to a corporate job.
Yeah.
And it was pulling me in different directions. And I just thought that I had totally failed myself. And I'm like, I don't know how to get through this. And like, I try to find mentors. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to find them. And it's hard to get guidance and assistance. So it was challenging. It was a real dark place for me. And then there are a lot of things that happened that got me to the point of like, you know what? It is what it is. This is nature. You gotta deal with it, suck it up. So I just kind of had to like rebuild again and approach it in a different way. So not too much of that going on, but yeah, I mean, when I say failure, I mean there's failure to me has just a lot of opportunities within failure. So when I have failed at something, I always think of how I can do better. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, now look at you with your brand and everything that you're creating now. And you wouldn't have that if you hadn't, did whatever you did in your business before, for sure. I just think it's really important for people to see that. It's like we always see the picture on social media or at events that it's just like, oh my gosh, everything is so wonderful and so easy for them. And it's so all the things. And then little do they know that, 10 years ago or whatever it was, we were getting paid nothing and thought about doing corporate again, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so we forget that. So did you end up doing corporate and just kind of having that support so that you could rebuild?
I ended up doing corporate and I got kicked right back out.
Yeah, right. I love that.
I was
The
just
universe was like, nope.
I got kicked back out and I was like, why did I do it? You know, this is not what's going to happen. So that was not the life. So,
I love it. So then you came back and you started charging.
yeah, I started charging.
I honestly laugh, but that's such a big thing in the coach world right now, which is not charging. And it is also something that I've been doing for, well, I've probably been doing it for about 3 years. And recently I'm kind of coming to the point myself where I'm like, I don't want to keep doing the free sessions anymore. Mm-hmm. And I want to like shift it. It's not really working. So it sounds funny, right? Like giving your work away for free, but it's something I think people do at the beginning, or I don't know. I know lots of coaches that make well over 300,000 a year and offer free sessions. So it's just kind of depends where you're at. But I think that's, yeah, I think that's really great that you had that corporate kicked you out.
Yeah, corporate kicked me out. Granted, like, I'm still like, you know, slowly learning just building and slowly learning the price structure and stuff like that, but I am getting paid.
Woohoo! So, and then my other question is, what do you wish you would have known before you became an entrepreneur?
I wish I would have known finance better.
Yeah.
And taxes. And like, like those are the, like, it's not really taught in school. It's right. It taught you economics. Economics is actually more important than any of those classes that we actually take. We actually use it. But I wish financial literacy would have been on the top of the food chain than any other class. Because like, it's kind of like what we not inherently, but it's kind of like what we view the foundations, what we view as, like, you know, money is everything. Right. Girl, you got to, like, you can't move far without it. So I wish somebody would have taught me that, check balances, and like really sit down and really hone into the world of finances in a way that would have made me successful. Would make me successful. Yeah.
Well, and it's different for business too, right? I mean, it's like we have this thing that we're really good at. You know, you're really good at marketing and events, and I'm really great at coaching, but it's like finance, not so much. That's not our strong point, right? But it's such an obviously huge part of business. But I know for myself too, when I first got in, I didn't have all the things set up. I mean, now I do, and now I have this structure and the taxes and the tax guy and, you know, the checking and all the things that I need to have, and the 401k and all the stuff for myself that I'm like, oh, okay, this is way more supportive. But it takes a lot to get there, or to find people that know what they're doing. It's important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So something else that I noticed that I really liked that was a part of your mission in your company is that you mentioned mindset and how important that is for people. And so it's something that I've noticed more and more in brands where they're talking about mindset, even though you're a marketing company. Back, you know, I don't know, maybe even like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had a marketing company talking about mindset and how important that is. So I'm curious how you integrate that into your business.
So mindset is very interesting because one of the things is in marketing is our job. It's a very indirect approach in selling somebody, and we creating behaviors on a regular basis, right? And like just shifting, when I think of mindsets and everything, is kind of like, where am I in my world, that in my position that I need to get to point A to point A, from point A to point B. I feel like there is a sense of there's a lot of people that talk about problems but never have solutions for them. So shifting your mindset in more of a strategic way of like saying, hey, this is something that's happening, but how am I going to move forward in that? And being able to be in that progressive thinking and stay in the present and understand your past is a better way to enhance your brand and create better futures. So that's why everything around, right, everything in Mirror Inc. is thriving. So we have a thriving brand program, and like especially for business owners, just kind of like position themselves in a way of understanding their potential and where they're at in their journey in order to build a path to where they need to go. So for me, the mindset for in marketing is to get entrepreneurs to understand marketing is about relationships. It's about building those relationships and having a clear brand and clear message to communicate to the public.
So I know that you have to get going. You have another appointment here. So I just wanted, my last question that I have that I love to ask people is, you've offered us a lot of tips and guidance and information that we get to take on for ourselves today. And so I'm curious who are your favorite teachers or books or people that you've learned from to get to where you are now?
Well, I'm going to say something off the wall. I've learned from everyone. Human beings, and the environment and community is my best teachers. As far as book, I read a lot of Deepak. But if anybody never read the book, they should read The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. That's a good one by Deepak. So I really think that I learn a lot from everyone around me, and they're my biggest teachers.
Yeah.
I can't say I learn more than the other, but I think that like we have the ability to mend each other. So and it makes me a lot more creative too in learning from the communities that I live in. So.
Aw, I love that answer, and especially just knowing your upbringing, and I'm sure that is what has, kind of created this, like, really love for everybody and kind of an understanding of who you are through the different people that you come in contact with your life, and being able to bring that in and what you can learn about yourself by having all those different relationships. It's beautiful. I love that. A great answer. And Deepak has got some amazing stuff, but I haven't read that one yet, so I'll have to read.
It's 120 pages. It's not that long.
That's little. All right. I'll have to read that one.
Definitely. Cool.
All right. Thanks, Beatrice, so much for talking with us today and sharing your wisdom and your guidance about growing a business. And it's been amazing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Head over to thewildonesonline.com to sign up for our newsletter. That way you'll be the first to know about all of our events, all of our workshops, and our podcast. Also, please share this podcast with your friends and family and leave us a review on iTunes. Leaving us a review is so helpful for other people to find us. So many of us are craving that connection, that love, the passion, the freedom, and we love to be able to create a space just for that. Thank you for listening and being a part of this conversation. Now, go get wild.